India's goal to become a gas-based economy by 2030 is an intriguing one. Yet can this ambitious vision come to fruition? As it stands, the share of natural gas in India's primary energy basket is surprisingly low. This is despite the government's targeted efforts to boost natural gas consumption. You'd expect to see a rise in its usage, but instead, the current trends show quite the opposite. There's actually a decline in its share. So, what's going on? Why is this happening when the government is actively promoting the use of natural gas? These are the questions we need to consider. The vision of India as a gas-based economy seems tantalizingly within reach, yet somehow it's slipping away. In the face of declining trends, the question remains, can India pivot to a gas-based economy by the end of this decade? A closer look at the numbers reveals a decrease in natural gas consumption in India. But what factors contribute to this decline? Let's delve into the dynamics of this complex energy equation. At the heart of this decline is a decrease in domestic gas production. The country's internal capacity to produce natural gas has unfortunately been on a downward trajectory. This is a significant factor as it directly affects the availability and affordability of natural gas within India's borders. The plot thickens when we consider the increase in liquefied natural gas, or LNG, imports. As domestic production has dwindled, India has turned to the global market to meet its natural gas needs. The import of LNG has been on an upward trend, indicating a shift in the source of India's natural gas supply. However, relying on imports also brings its own set of challenges, including price volatility and supply chain vulnerabilities. Now, let's turn our attention to consumption patterns across different sectors. Interestingly, the power sector, which is traditionally a major consumer of natural gas, has seen a decrease in consumption. This could be attributed to a variety of factors, including competition from other energy sources like coal, solar, and wind. On the other hand, the fertilizer segment's share of natural gas consumption has slightly increased. This is likely because natural gas is an essential ingredient in the production of nitrogen-based fertilizers, a critical component for India's agricultural sector. In essence, the natural gas landscape in India is marked by a complex interplay of declining domestic production, rising LNG imports, and shifting consumption patterns across sectors. With domestic production on a decline and LNG imports on the rise, the balance of natural gas consumption is shifting. As we move forward, it will be interesting to see how these dynamics continue to shape India's natural gas trajectory. While challenges persist, there is potential for growth in the natural gas sector. The future of the natural gas industry in India is not solely dependent on the decline or rise of other energy sources. It also hinges on the growth potential for compressed natural gas, or CNG, consumption. CNG, a cleaner and more efficient fuel, can be a game changer in India's energy landscape. Its growth potential, however, is contingent on two key factors: gas availability and infrastructure investment. Firstly, gas availability. For CNG to be a viable energy option, there needs to be a steady and abundant supply of natural gas. This can be achieved either through increased domestic production or through strategic imports. Secondly, infrastructure investment. The adoption of CNG as a fuel requires substantial infrastructure such as CNG stations and pipelines. Investment in this area is crucial to making CNG accessible to consumers. But there's another piece to the puzzle that can potentially boost domestic production and demand: the introduction of the Unified Tariff Policy. This policy aims to streamline natural gas transport and pricing, making it more competitive and attractive to consumers. The Unified Tariff Policy can be a catalyst for growth in the natural gas sector. By streamlining transport and pricing, it can encourage more industries and households to switch to natural gas. It can also stimulate domestic production by making it more profitable for producers. In a nutshell, the growth potential of the natural gas sector in India lies in the interplay of several factors. The availability of natural gas, infrastructure investment, and supportive policies like the Unified Tariff Policy all play a part. It's not an easy path, and there are undoubtedly hurdles to overcome. But with the right policies and investments, there is a glimmer of hope for the growth of natural gas consumption in India. However, natural gas doesn't operate in a vacuum. It faces stiff competition and formidable challenges. In the energy market, natural gas has to contend with coal, solar, and wind energy sources. Each of these competitors has its own unique selling points that present a challenge to natural gas. Firstly, let's talk about coal. Despite its environmental implications, coal remains an affordable energy source, especially in developing economies. It's readily available and easy to extract, making it a tough competitor for natural gas. Then we have the rising stars of the energy world, solar and wind energy. They're not only renewable but also have minimal emissions, making them environmentally acceptable. Plus, their costs have been dropping significantly over the years, making them increasingly affordable. With the world striving to achieve energy security, these renewable sources are gaining traction, but it's not just competition that natural gas has to worry about. There are inherent challenges in making natural gas a prominent energy source in India. Yes, it has advantages in terms of emissions reduction compared to coal and oil. But these benefits need to be weighed against the challenges of gas availability and infrastructure investment. Gas availability is a concern because domestic gas production in India has been on the decline. This necessitates increased LNG imports, which can be a costly affair. Infrastructure investment is another hurdle. To boost the consumption of natural gas, significant capital needs to be invested in developing the necessary infrastructure, such as pipelines and gas distribution networks. The unified tariff policy could potentially streamline natural gas transport and pricing, giving a boost to domestic production and demand. But whether this will be enough to tip the scales in favor of natural gas remains to be seen. While natural gas has its merits, it has a tough road ahead in the face of strong competition and inherent challenges.